I want to tell you a story about somebody in my community who was just about to start a new consulting business, but was this close to stepping in some major consulting landmines. Stay tuned. Hey, it's Alzay Calhoun with Coveted Consultant. I want to tell you a story about a member of my community who was starting a new consulting business. And in our conversation, I was able to help him avoid some major pitfalls. So what happened was he got on my email, he read a blog post, he got on my email list, I asked him how I could help, and he began to tell me what he was trying to get done with this new consulting business, specifically around helping companies with their online marketing. So I want to make sure as I go through this story that I apply his situation to what I believe your situation is. So here's where he was. He is probably much like you. He is experienced, he is educated, he is certified, trained, and in other words, is an expert. So that probably sounds a lot like you, right? You have a certain expertise, and maybe you got it through life experience. You may have gotten it through formal education. You may have gotten certified through some sort of program. You've been trained in some sort of methodology. But in some way, some form, you are an expert. Now, expert doesn't mean that you know everything, but it does mean that there are some specific things that you understand and you know that could be of value to someone else. So now let's talk about this coveted versus conventional thinking, because conventional thinking is normal. It is standard. It is run of the mill. It is boring. And it also is laden with these mistakes you can make that take you away from that special coveted positioning that you're really after. So let's talk about that in this story. So here's what typically happens when conventional wisdom takes over and you're starting a consulting business. You begin to focus on getting a website up and getting business cards, logo, your tagline. You may even think about getting office space or buying new clothes because you know you're going to be presenting in front of people. And so you spend a lot of time and energy getting these things done. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do any of these things and run a successful consulting business. If you feel like you have to have them, there are ways of getting these things done at a very minimal cost. There are some things that are important to getting your business up and running that are much more important than what your website, business card, logo, etc. looks like. So let's transition away from the conventional thinking into the coveted thinking that will position you as the kind of expert you know that you are. So let's start here at the top. So number one, how much do I give away? So that was his question to me basically. It was, he understood that he should have an application for clients that want to work with him. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But in that application, he was kind of concerned about how deep and how broad the application should be. So that question probably for you sounds like this: how much should I give away? And there's a lot of ways for consultants to just give away value. We do it in free consultations. We do it over free lunch or coffee. We do it in presentations or proposals. We do it in phone calls every time the phone rings. Any of these activities is an opportunity for consultants who run a knowledge-based business, right, to just show up and just talk. And we give immense amount of value away. And we give immense amount of retainer dollars away because we're just talking. So my response to him and my response to you as well is, first of all, this is the wrong question. How much to give away is the wrong question. What is a more appropriate way to think about this is, what value should I offer at the beginning stage? And the value is defined by getting people unstuck. So the deal is, somebody comes to you, they interact with you because they have a problem. And what they're looking for is a solution. And where we get in trouble with this question is they ask us and we just start talking. And we talk about where they're going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. I mean, we can talk for 10 minutes without taking a breath. We just start talking. And we've lost sight of what their individual specific situation is. And if we have anything in our toolkit, in our treasure chest of experience that can get them unstuck. because really all they're interested in is trying to get that initial pain, what they're currently experiencing, to subside. That's it. That's all they want, is step one to help them release some of that pain. And so your value proposition here at the very beginning is not how much should I give away, but it's, have I appropriately assessed where they are, and if I offer them anything that will get them unstuck. And so if you've gotten them unstuck, then they'll say, or someone who wants to be a client will say, that was great. What else can you do? Do you have any more? And then you can talk about services. If all they wanted was that first step of getting them unstuck, then that's fine. It was a great interaction and you haven't overcommitted yourself. They can go, you can go. It's a great day. So that's how you think about how much to give away, right? Get them unstuck. Now, thing number two that you should be focused on is, what exactly should I sell? And so for the person I'm talking about who I was interacting with, there were a lot of things that he could sell. I mean, online marketing involves a lot of different angles and areas. And so my challenge to him, and it's the same challenge to you, is to simplify those offerings. As a matter of fact, take the vast majority of them away. And actually, here's what I said. Pop quiz. What is your favorite restaurant? Now, what is your favorite meal or dish at that restaurant? So as far as you're concerned, they can eliminate the remaining 80% of their menu as long as they keep serving that favorite thing of yours, right? So same premise here is, instead of trying to offer people all of what you know, focus on a couple of special dishes. And what that looks like in the world of consultants is we offer ourselves up in productized services. So that's the outline. So you begin with a very specific problem, and then solving that problem normally happens in steps. There are stages. And so you simply explain one step at a time. So assuming, problem, then you go through step 1, step 2, 3, 4, 5, and at the end, it's been solved. And then if they have a second problem, you go through those steps. It's been solved. Third steps, it's been solved. So TPS stands for Transformational Productized Service. And that's basically what this is. Transformational means that when they get through with this process, you will have shifted their experience. They used to experience a certain problem. Now they don't. That's the transformational part. The productized part is you've turned it into a system. Right? So it happens the same way every time. You know how to go through that process each and every time. It's productized, right? And then service means, of course, they can pay for it, right? So there's this transformational thing. You know that if they do it, they will shift their experience. Their reality will forever shift. And so you know that it involves a certain number of steps, and so does your client. They know that it's a certain number of steps, so they know what they're committing to. And so then the service part, it's much easier to understand and buy if it's clearly outlined, right? So what should you sell? Don't sell the whole menu of services. Focus on that top 20% that has the most value in it. Thing number 3 that you should be focused on is exactly, how do I get clients? For many consultants, the conventional wisdom is you pound the pavement and you start doing a lot of this stuff. Free consults, presentations, lunches, and doing a lot of phone calls. It's a lot of cold pitching is really what it ends up being, or a lot of just kind of being chummy and swirling drinks. There's a place for that kind of stuff. But what is more important to the life and success of your business is that you've got a system that you can put in place. So here's a basic outline for where to start. Is you run an advertisement in a relevant publication that leads to an application. People have to tell you about their situation. And if you've got the software, then you can follow up with, B stands for benefit. So you remind them of a certain benefit of going through one of the steps, and then offer a link back to the application. The second benefit, right, that corresponds with one of the steps, with the link back to the application. Benefit 3, 4, 5, etc. Right? So the advertisement leads to an application, and when they register here, then they enter into a follow-up sequence. So you've got to have some software, you got to have a budget to make this work, but the value of this part and the value of thinking about this so early in your consulting business is the idea of selection. So when people come to an advertisement and they want to actually fill out the application, then you can review their application before you overcommit to any of these things to assess if you can really help them. So they fill out the application, you can compare it against one of your services, and then perhaps you tell them via email, you know what, I don't think I offer anything that can solve for your specific service or issue. You should go here. Or we'd be a great fit for issue 2 or issue 3, and so we should consider working together. Let's talk on a given day or a given time. The application allows you to do that. So the application is not about you trying to position yourself as some fancy expert. Not necessary. The application is about assessment. And your best client, your best prospects, the folks who really appreciate getting to this end goal of being solved, are going to value the fact that you have appropriately assessed their situation before engaging them in any of their time. Essentially, it doesn't waste your time. It doesn't waste their time. So if you take out the second part and just look at who you are and think about these major questions in red, then you'll skip a lot of these landmines that waste your time and waste your budget that needs to be used on getting these things right, especially this thing down here. So I talk to people all the time that have spent a lot of money on this stuff, that they don't have the resources necessary to get this stuff done, and the clients show up over here. So that's how you should get started. Now, what I also want to do is, if you're on the blog, you can just scroll down and read our actual conversation, the conversation that created this whole video. If you're not on the blog, there should be a link in the description that you can click that will send you to this entire transcript. And I try my best to break it down so you can kind of follow the flow, because it gives you some more context on how we got here. And I bet there are some further landmines that we were able to point to in our conversation that can help you as well. So go ahead and click the link so you can see all of what we talked about and use it. I hope it helps you. It doesn't stand alone. It doesn't promote itself. It doesn't attract clients in some magical way. A real step-by-step content marketing funnel with your big idea, your transformational productized service that you bring to you, because this is the improved model about how to follow up and close these high-level